regard my dad as a moronic narcissist and that he means less than nothing to me. I meant every word, still do, and shortly thereafter, I sent him a massive text message that made it very clear exactly how he has harmed me and how it has affected my life. My father and I haven't had any contact for 6 years whatsoever. To put it briefly, we've always had a very tumultuous and downright antagonistic relationship, and after many years of pain, sorrow and disappointment, I finally gave up on having a relationship with him at all. I then immediately blocked his number as my mind was made up and I just wanted him gone, for good, and I couldn't care less about his response or any future communication. So, there is no reconciliation possible, and I'm as fine as anyone could be with that. That's not my goal, and I have no remorse or guilt about how it ended, and I have never for a second doubted that it was the right choice for me. When I broke off contact, the hardest part was that I realized this would make it incredibly difficult to sustain my relationships with members of my extended family on my father's side. Although it pained me greatly, I made that sacrifice willingly, thinking that that would be the end of it. At that point, it was about self-preservation, and I was absolutely ruthless in guaranteeing myself freedom from his influence. Whatever it took, I was willing to do it. But, of course, it wasn't going to end just like that, as these things so rarely do. In my case, primarily because of my sister has, historically, been chiefly on my side in all of this because she witnessed everything I suffered directly and was unable to prevent it despite numerous attempts at diplomacy. She carries a lot of guilt because of this, but at the same time, her and my father were always quite close. My father's tendencies also targeted my sister, but in a very different manner, and she is much more of a people-pleaser kind of person than I ever was. Where I was routinely shamed, blamed, and ridiculed, my father made her into a mother figure and confidant, meaning she's been his personal therapist ever since her teens. She resents him for this, but her feelings are far more murky and ambivalent than mine, and despite her complaining about him and his behavior constantly, even to this day, she hasn't broken off contact with him because she wants her children to have a relationship with their grandfather. To me, that's her choice, and I've never criticized her for that, regardless of how I feel his influence might come to harm my nieces and nephew. My father and I have successfully avoided each other for 6 years, and I think we're both quite terrified of the day that we meet, but as long as we can navigate around each other, that's not a problem. Recently, my sister gave birth to her third child, and the christening is set for August, where I'm from. It's a big occasion where all family members, inner and extended, are invited along with friends and their significant others and children. And of course, my sister doesn't know what to do about me and our father because we haven't seen or talked to each other for 6 years. She knows exactly how I feel about him and that I don't want to be anywhere near him or ever see him or hear him talk again. In that, I have found peace. But my father is unwilling to accept that he will not be invited to the christening because I don't want him there, and deeply upset about my sister originally not inviting him. So he's been emotionally pressuring / blackmailing my sister into inviting him. My sister has said to him that I'm the one who gets to be there if me and my father cannot agree that it is all right for the both of us to be there. Somehow, she's told him that she thinks that he is supposed to be the mature one and that it's his responsibility to reach out and make amends with me if he wants to be there for his granddaughter's christening. So, he said to her that he would reach out to me. My sister then texted me to tell me that my father might contact me because they'd had that conversation. At first I didn't think he would contact me at all because he generally doesn't follow through on any promise he makes, and he's a massive coward when it comes to dealing with me, or any conflict for that matter. But to my surprise, I received a text from him today that reads, "I'm reaching out because your sister has expressed that she wants the three of us, him, myself and his wife, at the christening, and I was hoping that we could agree to being in the same room for this and future events. We don't have to shake hands or even talk. We just need to behave like adults. Kind regards." Never mind that my sister has not expressed that she wants him and wife at the christening or how aggressive the tone of this message is. It has provoked way more emotions in me than I thought possible. I thought I was over it, but there's a lot of anger and to a lesser degree also sorrow and anxiety. Emotionally, I regret unblocking his number for this message deeply since it has left me in quite the state of emotional turmoil, but I also don't know what to do about the situation with the christening at hand. I've narrowed it down to 3 options. 1. I can tell my sister what reading his message did to me and that I'm clearly not able to cope with being anywhere near him, seeing as I can't even read a message from him without imploding emotionally. That would mean she has to choose between us, and I don't want to put her in that position or risk antagonizing her and ruining our relationship. If I go down this path, I'm honestly afraid she'll consider me incredibly cowardly or suspect me of agitating the conflict on purpose, and then decide that I'm the one who won't get invited to the christening. 2. I could defy every emotion and instinct I have, try to man up and tell my father that we can both go as long as he keeps his distance and avoids talking to me or about me. I absolutely mean it when I say that I have no way of predicting exactly how I will react if he tries anything, but it could get very, very ugly as it has many times before. I won't know until it happens, but I am definitely at risk of losing my temper and making a scene. Also, I find the idea of being at the christening with that many people around almost publicly humiliating, because they all know what's going on with me and him, and I feel like I'll be spending the entire day avoiding my father and his wife. And then, what even is the point of being there if I have to be hyper-vigilant and anxious? I broke off contact with him exactly because I could no longer ignore my own feelings or downplay myself just in order to keep the peace, and on that promise to myself, I will not, under any circumstance and in my life, go back, so there's a real risk that it might end extremely badly. 3. I tell my sister that I'm simply not emotionally ready for this to happen. Every inch of my body is communicating this to me, but I have only thought about it for 1 day, so this might change. And then, I suggest that I'll pass this time and then me and my father can sort of take turns at participating in her events so we don't have to see each other and so she does not have to feel like she's caught in between or that she has to intervene or mediate between us, which, as she explains it, is actually the biggest issue for her. I'm not a big fan of this because I will have to cede territory to him, and there's another warrior-like part of me who is telling me hell no, you will cede nothing to this man, and if he tries anything you'll insert varying, non-violent vengeance fantasies. But come the day I do not know if I'm strong enough to assert myself sufficiently to make him uncomfortable enough to avoid any future events. Keep in mind also that I'm dealing with a man who many suspect of being a sociopath. So yeah, that's probably not a battle any wise person would take willingly. I'm hoping for some advice on how to proceed. I don't have to decide for a while, but my mind is going in circles and I'm caught somewhere in between self-pity and wild fury, unable to make sense of what's happening in my head and heart. Thanks in advance to anyone who took the time to read and respond.
I have biliary disease and my mom keeps going on about me eating better, doing liver flushes, and stuff that isn't helpful and could even be harmful. I had to go on a liquid and then soft foods diet last year. I'm still mostly on it, though I have been able to add on a few things and still have to go slowly and carefully. Most of my protein comes from High Protein Boost, a nutrition replacement drink. Per my doctor, she keeps trying to get me to take turmeric and drink turmeric tea, which says on the package do not consume if you have liver, gallbladder, or biliary problems. We're pretty sure she snuck me some when she was helping me recover from surgery a couple months ago, because I had some issues one day in particular after she brought me a tea that didn't taste right. I was still really bugged up, so at the time I didn't think about it and only later realized she had left the tea for me to drink. I put the pieces together and realized what she had done. When I sent her a photo of the warning label, she said she was glad I saw that before trying it. Before that instance, she had ordered some various supplements, including turmeric and curcumin, for me and had them shipped directly to the house. She texted my husband and was encouraging him to give them to me. He helps me with my medications when I'm too sick to get out of bed and I trust him wholeheartedly to keep me safe. Obviously, he hasn't done that. He said if she wants to waste her money, that's on her. Despite knowing about the warning label on the tea and us repeatedly telling her I can't take it, she is still sending my husband articles about the benefits of turmeric and curcumin. This is where the text conversation started between them yesterday. She sent him a journal article about the benefits of curcumin. The article was from 2013 and he responded with a more recent 2021 article explaining how patients with liver issues are negatively affected by turmeric and curcumin. Fun fact about my husband, he is extremely patient and doesn't fly off the handle. We also live in her house that we pay the mortgage and hoe on. She lives with her new husband 2 hours away. The mortgage and hoe combined is half of what we could rent a tiny dump for locally. We are actively saving for a house, but the market here has been terrible. After that she went off on her second favorite topic, the COVID vaccine. We had the original bivalent shots as soon as we were eligible to get them and have had annual boosters since. We don't get them as often as she seems to think though. We get it at the same time as our annual flu vaccine. She asked him if we've gotten any more shots since our last one in October. No, because that's not how they work. But, we do plan on getting our next booster in the fall. After that, she sent him her diet that helps numbers. I don't know what numbers she's referring to, but my liver function tests are scary bad. Like, I've had 6 procedures in the last year to try to figure out why. Her diet recommendations aren't bad. It's a good basic healthy diet, lean meat, lots of vegetables and fruits, oatmeal, Greek yogurt, that type of stuff. But, they're essentially what I'm already eating, except I'm still not able to eat a lot, but meat specifically is difficult. I supplement with High Protein Boost, which she thinks is harmful since it's not natural. Also, I'm allergic to oats and have to keep reminding her. I love oatmeal and wish I could eat it, but it triggers joint inflammation and skin issues. Then she sent another long text which really hurt. Sometimes there is too much info out there that contradicts each other. Nothing natural is harmful unless it has added chemicals. But don't worry. I'm done. All it seems to do is upset me. She has to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of this like you and I did. And please, you don't have to tell her I've said anything. 3 things about that specific text. First, she says she's done a lot, but will continually bring up unnecessary and unhelpful stuff. Even when I ask her to stop. Second, she doesn't think I'm sick and tired enough. I've had a year's worth of poor health on top of having 18 years of these cycles with my liver. They've only gotten worse over time. And, I've tried everything, including dieting, which did help, but obviously not enough because I'm sick again. I've been dismissed enough by doctors in the past and I've finally gotten into a good team at a good hospital who have all assured me it's not in my head and I'm really sick. I feel like she wants me to suffer. I honestly can't imagine getting sicker. It's already disrupting my life and I've been lucky it's not any worse. I don't want it to be. I want to get better. She always told me growing up I was a hypochondriac whenever I would complain about stuff like frequent headaches. When I reminded her of that a few months ago, she gasped and said she'd never say anything like that. I remember specific instances and it was way more than once or twice. Third, she always tells him not to say anything to me, which is hilarious. He's my husband and best friend. Then whenever she goes on these rants with him, she'll kinda disappear and won't talk to either of us for a week or more, which is honestly fine. I need the breaks. Which makes us feel like she knows he tells me. I've never indicated that I knew about the conversations or asked her to stop doing that with him because I want her to feel like she can trust him. He would rather be the target because he doesn't want her ranting to me because he doesn't want me stressed. My husband basically repeated the same things we have told her already. Including that this is probably hereditary and something we're going to have to deal with long term. For context, my dad's mom's side of the family has a history of gallbladder disease and liver cancer. I haven't had contact with him or any of his relatives in over 10 years. I cut them off for my own emotional and mental health. The last 2 texts she sent him circled back to the COVID vaccine and how it's not natural. She even told him that I always had problems with shots growing up, which is a flat-out lie. I was on state health insurance growing up and she always got our vaccines on time. She thinks getting the virus will protect you. Luckily, I already had the vaccine before I caught COVID and I'm glad I did. BC, I can't imagine how bad it would be if I had raw dogged it. She also stated that my dad's mom died of the vaccine. No one on my dad's side of the family reached out to tell me my grandma had died or invited me to the funeral. She, my mom, told me in a text message and that was the entire conversation. My grandma had liver cancer and a liver transplant 10 years prior to her death, and I do know she had chronic pancreatitis as a result of the cancer treatment. So, I have no context as to what she means about the vaccine since I wasn't around or involved with that family. My grandma died 4 years ago and this is the first time she's ever brought that up. After the last text, my husband just ignored her. She came back hours later and apologized, which she always does and always thinks that makes everything better and we should just all forget and move on.